Hello, good evening and welcome to Prime Business. Coming up in the next half hour, government criticized for failing to take advantage of debt service suspension initiative by the World Bank. We'll hear from economist Peter Korte, who says it could have aided in the country's debt restructuring amid the IMF negotiations.
If delayed, can cause a lot of problems. If we have taken advantage of this, I believe we have been able to use that to restructure our debts, have longer-term debt that we can manage.
And Ghana Free Zones Authority expects to reap $529 million in export earnings from 39 newly licensed companies.
Export earnings from the 39 companies is $529 million.
My name is Beverly Broohm. Do stay with me. Welcome again. Let's settle for the details now. Economist and Director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Peter Korte, has taken a swipe at the government for failing to take advantage of the debt service suspension initiative by the World Bank. According to him, the initiative could have afforded the country the opportunity to bring its ballooning debt under sustainable levels. He spoke at a roundtable meeting organized by the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana on the topic Managing IMF's Expectation and Ghana's Economy, the Way Forward. The following report has more.
The Debt Service Suspension Initiative, known as DSSI, sought to give low and lower middle-income countries the opportunity to suspend their debt service payments in order to temporarily ease their financing constraints and free up scarce money that they can instead use to mitigate the human and economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, Ghana, together with a neighboring country, Nigeria, declined the offer, a situation Professor Peter Korte says is having a negative impact on Ghana's debt situation amid the IMF negotiations.
We miss an opportunity, that is the Debt Sustainability Suspension Initiative. I'm told 73 low-income countries opted for that, where you can suspend your debt payment over time. When things get better, then you start paying. But for reasons best known to the managers of the economy, we refused. Ghana and Nigeria did not opt for that option. And it goes to the point Ali raised. Sometimes the decision to jump in, quickly take action, if delayed, can cause a lot of problems. If we have taken advantage of this, I believe we have been able to use that to restructure our debts, have longer-term debt that we can manage.
Meanwhile, senior partner at KPMG, Anthony Sapon, is urging the government to consolidate databases of its agencies like the SNIT and GRA in order to improve its revenue mobilization efforts.
GRA can tell you, based on our minimum information, this is what we know about you. So let's use technology to deepen the areas that we have the big holes in the net, and we can improve our tax to GDP, which is currently at 13, and move it to the 18 or 20, because we know in the sub-region West Africa, if you take Nigeria out, Ghana is the biggest economy, and yet we have the lowest tax to GDP, so it doesn't really make sense. So we need more hard work, we need investment in technology, and we need to work hard to change the story that we have today.
For his part, tax expert and senior lecturer at the University of Ghana School of Law, Dr. Ali Nachia, outlined existing revenue sources that he believes must be exploited to reduce the country's tax deficit.
We keep talking about property taxation. It's been in budget since 2012. We don't roll it out. We saw in the last 2 years' budget, we're going to tax gambling. Where is the law? Where is the policy? We mentioned we are going to tax informal sector using the modified taxation system, presumptive taxes. This has been in our law, the second schedule to the Income Tax Act 2015, Act 896. Since 2015, we're in 2022, we've not rolled it out. And all the framework has been developed, taxation of e-commerce, which is what I was saying. Somebody may have misconstrued or misapplied understanding of taxation of e-commerce and e-levy. I still hold that view.
Speaking to Joy Business, President of the ICAG, Senator Dake, is optimistic that the policy measures outlined during the forum will impact the 2023 budget.
It's been clearly articulated that it's not like we don't have the laws. The existing laws are even enough to help us to move from where we are. But the problem is with the implementation. And so strategies that should help us to do the implementation more smoothly have been discussed so far. It's also been expected that whatever we are doing here should have an impact on our 2023 budget, and so the budget expectations were also brought out to bear. Already, the Institute of Chartered Accountants has made several contributions in the budgeting process.
The ICAG roundtable meeting was on the topic, Managing IMF Expectation and Ghana's Economy, the Way Forward.
Let's still stay on the IMF as government's quest to close a program with the fund before the end of this year now looks impossible. This based on fresh data regarding the duration for a country to reach a staff agreement before any program can be settled on. Here's a report by George Riafe.
This is not based on any wrong thing that government has done now or issues relating to the preliminary data that it has submitted to the IMF for the economic program. Looking at the processes that government has to go through before it can secure a staff deal, end of year target, or even before, looks impossible. Some persons with knowledge of the current negotiations have noted that unless the IMF waives some of the processes, then closing that end of year deal might be difficult. Here's another thing that you want to consider. The IMF mission is expected in town by the end of this month and should be leaving by December 15, 2022. Now, it could take about a month for a full report to be ready, or call it a staff agreement to be finalized for that board consideration. This is because looking at those legal processes that the staff deal has to go through, closing a program before the end of this year again raises a lot of questions. We are also learning that final letter of intent, as well as the full economic program document, is yet to be officially submitted to the IMF. For some, the first quarter of next year now looks possible for Ghana in closing that staff deal, as well as that full program with the board approval and disbursement, unless something changes the last minute for Ghana.
Let's now turn our attention to the banking sector as the Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana, in collaboration with the International Financial Corporation, is embarking on a training course for bankers on environmental and social governance, also known as ESG. This is part of moves by the Institute to provide more knowledge on sustainable banking for the Ghanaian financial sector players. Speaking to Joy Business at the 26th National Banking Conference in Accra, Chief Executive for the Chartered Institute of Bankers, Robert Jatto, hinted that there is a paradigm shift in banking, hence the need for Ghanaian banks to align their operations.
Under the theme Future of Banking in Ghana, Ethics, Professionalism and ESG Imperatives, this year's National Banking Conference seeks to highlight the need for Ghanaian bankers to treat the environmental, social and governance issues as priority in their operations. According to Chief Executive of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, Robert Jatto, the Institute, as part of its mandate, is collaborating with the International Finance Corporation to ensure training on sustainable banking and professionalism.
ESG and what it means for us as banks and bankers. But even more importantly is the opportunities they present, the ESG, the social, the governance, even the environmental. Clearly from today's presentation, there are opportunities for banks, right? Our role as a Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana is to make sure that we educate. So immediately we are running a program with IFC to train bankers in ESG. But most importantly, we also put in ethics and professionalism on the agenda, because really if you think about ESG, ethics, professionalism, it's about sustainability. And that's really the key focus of the Institute, in addition to our mandate to educate and to regulate banks in terms of professionalism and ethics.
Speaking at the same event, Head of Banking Supervision at the Central Bank, Osei JC, cautioned that international investors are becoming more concerned about ESG in the choice of making investments in the financial market.
To be intentional and committed to ensuring strict adherence to our individual code of ethics and professionalism, as well as CIB's Ghana Banking Code of Ethics and Business Conduct in our various banks. As mentioned earlier, currently, investors are becoming more concerned about the impact of ESG risk on the profitability of banks. Consequently, banks are to ensure they comply with the Bank of Ghana guidelines on sustainable banking principles by submitting the returns as required to ensure proper assessment of the risk in the industry.
Chief Executive for the Ghana Association of Banks, John Ewa, says efforts are being made to make Ghanaian banks aware of the need for sustainable banking.
We've already launched in 2018 the Sustainable Banking Principles, and those are principles that are supposed to guide the conduct of banks in the areas of ESG. The speaker actually mentioned that on the training program on Principle 1 and Principle 2 have already taken place. So we are hoping that we go by the roadmap that we've all agreed, and in the end, we'll find that banks will be incorporating ESG fully into our daily activities as we go about our business of banking.
The conference is part of the Institute's annual Bankers Week celebration.
Now, the Ghana Free Zones Authority has said it expects about $529 million by way of export earnings from 39 newly licensed companies by the authority. This brings the total number of active companies under the Free Zones enterprise to 217, out of which 72 companies are wholly Ghanaian owned. This was disclosed at the media launch of the third annual Investment Week organized by the Ghana Free Zones Authority.
Annual Investment Week celebration are a series of activities organized by the Ghana Free Zones Authority to promote exports among small and medium-scale enterprises. This year's edition, which is the third of the week-long celebration, will focus on encouraging wholly owned Ghanaian companies to take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Speaking at the media launch, CEO of the Ghana Free Zones Authority, Mike Okwe said the authority expects a capital injection of $230 million into the Ghanaian economy from 39 newly licensed companies. This, he believes, is expected to yield about $529 million by way of export earnings in the short to medium term.
39 new companies have been licensed since I took over as Chief Executive Officer. The usual annual average has been around 28. These companies are expected to inject an estimated capital of 230 million United States dollars into the economy. In addition, the estimated export earnings from the 39 companies is $529 million, an estimated production value of 436 million United States dollars. I am also happy to report that the cumulative exports from the Free Zones enterprises since the program's inception stood at 27 billion United States dollars as at 2020.
Mike Okwe added that the authority is committed to supporting local businesses scale up and further increase the share of wholly owned Ghanaian companies.
Out of the 217 active companies, 72 are wholly Ghanaian owned companies, representing 33%. 74 are wholly foreign-owned companies, representing 34%, and 71 are joint ventures, representing 33%. This, ladies and gentlemen, is an indication that Ghanaian companies have the potential to take advantage of the free zone incentives and make a mark in the international market. Moreover, with the opportunities that AFTA also offers, we are encouraging Ghanaian-owned businesses to take advantage of the 1.3 billion African market to expand their activities.
This year's event is being organized under the theme Championing Export-Led Industrial Growth in the Context of AFTA and World Trade.
Now, the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, says it has begun profiling its members to leverage the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. According to the association, the agreement presents enormous benefits to businesses, hence the need to take advantage of it and trade competitively, both internally and externally. Speaking to Joy Business at the regional workshop, an annual general meeting, in Accra, regional branch, Chairman of AGI, Chonam Akpelo, called for a deliberate effort in ensuring the consumption of locally produced items. Here's more.
Speaking at the regional workshop and annual general meeting of the Accra regional branch of the AGI, regional chairman Chionam Akpelo stated that its members are poised to take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, hence had commenced profiling its members to leverage on the agreement. He, however, expressed worry about the high cost of doing business in the country. He urged government to use the 2023 budget to restore hope back to the economy.
Since the beginning of the year, industries have gone through various economic challenges as a result of the global crisis, specifically the ravaging effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the famous ongoing Russia and Ukraine war. These situations have cascaded into the economic and financial situations, the difficulties with its attendant negative consequences on our businesses and trade. And we are looking forward to government to taking immediate steps to support the financial presentations. Nonetheless, we think if there is any dispensation that we need more funding, Walmart is a big shop in the US. So let's know. These are some of the things we are trying to do, put the products out there so we can have them imported to those countries.
The regional workshop and annual general meeting was on the theme, leveraging private sector collaboration to accelerate sustainable industrial development, focus on investment funding sources and opportunities.
As part of moves to integrate trading of stocks and improve liquidity on the African continent, a trading portal is being introduced for the Ghana Stock Exchange and Nairobi Securities Exchange. The second stocks trading platform is expected to be in Nigeria and other parts and other markets by next year. At a short ceremony to launch the portal simultaneously in Accra and Nairobi, Deputy Managing Director for the Ghana Stock Exchange, Abenal Amwa, expressed confidence that this will boost trading among African countries.
Ghana and Kenya will be the first stock exchanges to experience the new technology, which seeks to open up the capital market for investors. The portal, known as Second Stocks, will be used to buy and sell stocks with ease from any of the two participating markets. According to Deputy Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Abenamwa, this is the way to go in boosting trading in the capital market of Africa.
Investors have options in terms of the number of companies they can invest in, the number of products they can invest in. And companies that are raising capital also have options because they can now access a much bigger market, the African capital market, exactly as the African Free Trade Continental Area seeks to do. So that is what the Ghana Stock Exchange is pushing for and advocating. So far this year, or in the past few months, we've launched additional other products, but we think the Second Stocks tool comes to add to this bouquet of giving investors more choice.
Chief Operations Officer at the Second Stocks, Duke Latte, explains to Joy Business that this technology will be a step in ensuring the trading becomes easier on various stock markets in Africa.
Allows them to trade across the continent, so across all the countries, the exchanges in Africa. We have started with the Kenyan market and the Ghanaian market. The Nigerian market is soon to follow. We're also speaking with the BRVM group, and really the dream is to cover the entire continent.
Why have you decided to start with Ghana and Nairobi?
Well, so that essentially demonstrate the fact that you can trade from one block. You know, Ghana is in West Africa, is on one side of Africa, Nairobi is on the east, right? So we are essentially empowering trades between the West and the east at the moment. And the thing, like I said, is to go to the north, the south, in fact, cover the length and breadth of the continent.
The Kenyan Security Exchange and the Ghana Stock Exchange are committed to making use of this new technology.
Now, the World Initiative for Soil and Human Health and the Ghana National Egg Campaign Secretariat says it will continue with its campaign to create awareness of the importance of egg consumption. According to project lead for Extra O at the Little Cow Consulting Limited, indeed the federal more sensitization program is needed to push the agenda. She spoke to Joy Business at the Extra O Food Invasion at Jolu.
According to the Extra O campaign project lead, plans are far advanced to take the project to other parts of the country. This, she believes, will boost the sensitization program.
It's part of the Extra O campaign's activities funded by the American Soybean Association, ASA, and the World Initiative for Soil and Human Health, WISH. This is a campaign we've been running since the year began to educate Ghanaians about egg consumption and address some of the myths and misconceptions. So today we've also had some fun activities. We've had people attempt to break some of the most popular world egg records. So we've had people try to beat the current record for the fastest 100-meter race with eggs on a spoon. And then also the highest number of eggs eaten under 1 minute.
Coordinator for the Ghana National Eggs Campaign Secretariat, Comfort Champion, highlighted some benefits of egg consumption.
We all know that the yolk contains some fat. So if you add more oil, you are increasing that one, and that will not be good for you. The egg alone by itself is a food. We call it a superfood. God has made it in such a way that almost all the nutrients you can get from a pack of food, you can get it from the egg. The only thing is the calcium. But even the calcium, it comes from the shell. So if you can chew the egg together with the shell, you have your calcium also there.
And on that note, we end Prime Business here on the Joy News channel with me, Beverly Broohm. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I leave you with news making headlines on the international front. Have a good evening.